Hello everyone and welcome back to the X-Ring. I hope you guys are doing well today. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about why I think this scope right here could possibly change the face of long-range shooting. Alright, so what we have here is the Tikka Ace game. You guys have already seen this, have already reviewed it. The only thing I've changed to it is I've added the enabler by AxisWorks. This is a great muzzle brakes. Big shout out to Robert and the guys over at AxisWorks. I think you know why so many guys run this in the NRL Hunter series, because it's very effective. But what we're here to talk about today is the new Burris XTR PS Precision Shooter Scope. Now, before you guys start turning away, there is some really good information here. Guys, I was able to go out to Texas last week. I went to Barksdale, Texas, and was able to go to the FTW Ranch. And it's not what you think it is. It is the Fallon Trophy Whitetail. Basically, it's a 12,000 acre training facility that trains all types of people, and I had the pleasure of spending the week with guys like Eric Cortina and Jim Harmer, and you got Adrian with Sin City Outdoors. Just amazing folks, writers, you know, Tom Beckstrand, just so many people I can't even name them all. But what we were there to do was to evaluate the new Burris XTR PS. Now, what sets this scope different from so many other scopes is the fact that you don't have to know MOA or mils. Guys, what this is not a laser range finding scope. What it is a conventional scope with a conventional reticle. Starting at the back, you have this adjustable ocular with a locking ring. It's something that I do like so it doesn't get inadvertently moved. This is the XTR PS. This one is in a 5.5 to a 30 by 56. They also offer this in a 3 to 18. You have a generous power knob here, 34mm main tube, and dials that you're already accustomed to. You have your illumination, it has your parallax, has your elevation, your windage. So what makes it so different? And that is the internal electronics within the actual scope. Now, I know a lot of guys cannot have electronics within a scope, especially for hunting applications. It's on you to know your local laws and all of that. But what this does is it's very similar to the layout with the Eliminator 6 in that it has 3 buttons on the left side. This is controlled by a CR123 battery, tested down to 40 degrees, and you have a memory and an up and down or a menu up and down button. So, why am I so impressed with this scope? And the reason is, guys, it has everything you need and nothing you don't. This comes in at 30 ounces, and what it does for you is you have a conventional first focal plane reticle, okay? So for long range or competitive shooters, that's what you want. That way when you dial or change the power, your scale is correct. It does have the SCR2 mil-based reticle, which I was already familiar with the XTR Pro and the XTR series of scopes. But what makes it unique is that heads-up display. It has 8 different fields in the top of the actual scope itself that when you're looking through there, you can do your angle compensation, you can do your density altitude, you can do a multitude of different things, including configuring your level on how it looks. You can choose between displaying mils or yards. That's the key point. Because let's say you're a guy that competes, you use mils, and you take your son or your daughter out. If they haven't learned MOA or mils yet, which I always urge someone to know how to do that and know what it means, but you can literally switch it over with the Burris Connect app, and now you can tell them, hey, there's a target there at 532 yards if you've lased it with your rangefinder, and all they have to do is turn this knob and they'll be able to dial it to that exact yardage. If you think about the implications of what that means on ease of operation, but also like in a team match, as long as your partner has a set of rangefinders, he can laser a target, and as long as you guys are talking about the same target, you can immediately dial that yardage. Guys, if you're worried about accuracy, this is a clickless, resettable with the PEK, which is a programmable elevation knob. Basically, you get 19 full mils in one rotation. That's all you get. You can't do any more. Once you set that 0, you get 19 full mils, and it is clickless, but it has 1/30th of a mil accuracy. So if you think about that for a second, especially for you guys that have MOAs that are like, well, I can dial a quarter MOA, 0.25 inches at 100 yards. Well, this has resolution down to 0.12 inches at 100 yards. So the accuracy is there with that. The Burris Connect app is super simple. Guys, I just mounted this up. I do have the Burris signature rings. We do have 20 minutes of angle built into this Tikka. What I did was I put a -10, +10 in the front, 0 in the back, so that gives us an additional 10 minutes for a total of 30. Guys, I was able to take this out last weekend. You can dial out to about 1,500 or so yards with this setup the way that it is, but was able to impact the target at 1 mile, doing the maximum of 19 mils and then doing my correct holdovers for the remainder of the distance.
Table 2.
Big mount.
Impact.
So it did it.
Table
Took
3.
4 shots, and using that digital in here, I was maxed out at 1551.
But guys, I wouldn't say this had I not spent almost a week with this out in Texas. We were shooting out to 1,800 yards, shooting throughout the day in all types of conditions, and this thing worked well. It was never a hindrance. It made it so easy. All we had to do was know the yardage, nothing else. Now, if you want conventional mills, you can always do that and switch it over. It also has a match timer built into the top right, and it also on the right side has a battery indicator. Guys, the entire time we were there, I never ever saw the battery drop down. So it does have an auto shut-off feature, so after about 2 minutes, that display will turn off and you just press a button on the side. But guys, I do have to give Burris kudos on this. Guys, the electronics and optics have come a long way. You're seeing some of our best military snipers using electronics and lasers to help them get on target better. And this is one of those things that really simplifies it. So the first thing I need to do is zero the rifle. Once I do that and I get it zeroed, I can do the programmable turret either through the scope, or I can actually do it through the app. Once I set 0, then we have a full hard stop on 0 right here. It won't go down any lower. You won't be able to dial any negative mils per se. So once we do that, then we can just rotate it to the yardage or mils that we're looking for. Now, for those that say, well, what if it goes dead? Guys, remember, this is a conventional first focal plane scope. One of the things I'm going to do and show you guys is I'm going to take the battery out, and then I'm just going to dial it. So if let's say I needed 3.2 mils, I can dial in approximately 3.2. Remember, you still have the hash marks for your 10th mils, so you're not going to be giving up anything, so it will still work. Guys, one of the limitations with that Burris Eliminator 6, even though that's a laser range finding scope, was the fact that it used a hybrid first-second focal plane optic, and so some of the wind reference points were not going to be true. This one's going to be true. The other thing you can do with this, guys, is you can set a constant wind value. Let's say, like today is pretty windy here. It's got about a 10-mile-an-hour wind. I could set it for 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock at a full value and could determine, based on what I'm seeing on the angles, what that wind hold is. As you change your distance, it will give you that reference point. So guys, it kind of checks off all the boxes, but that's enough talking. Oh, by the way, the price point on this is going to be about $2,400. I don't know what the street price is, but let's go ahead and get started with the review. All right, so before we get started shooting, let me talk about some of the things with this trigger cam. I have the trigger cam connected, and we're going to talk about the layout. What you're going to see on the top left is you'll see density altitude at 2K. I just checked it. But if I needed to change that, I can just use the menu button, tap it, and hold it for just a second, and what it will do is I can go to DA select. If I wanted to choose a different density altitude, I could do that. I don't need to change it. We can also zero out our elevation knob. We have our match timer, so we can adjust the time, reticle color, HUD brightness, and then exit. So you guys can see what the main controls are here within the menu. It's very simple, very self-explanatory. Below the DA, you're also going to see 10 miles an hour, 3 o'clock. That's something that I've put in there because the wind is blowing somewhere around 10 today. It keeps varying. But if I wanted to know a full value on that, you guys are going to be able to see what I can do on the wind to be able to determine what my hold might be. Top center, you're going to see 100 yards. It's zeroed for 100 yards. If I wanted to go to 600, I can just quickly turn and look at that, guys. Look at that resolution on that. I mean, I can go 598. I mean, you don't want to be too exact. It doesn't matter. It's that 30th resolution that you're talking about, 30th of a mil. Directly beneath that yardage, you're going to see a level. If I cant to the left, you're going to see that I'm shifting that level. You can choose a couple of different versions of this, of what you'd like that level to look like. Top right, you're going to see a match timer. Match timer is pretty simple. You can program how much time you have. When you start, you just hit the M. That's it. You guys are going to see on that top right, it's counting down. And as it's counting down, if I needed to stop it, I could pause it by hitting M again. It pauses it, and I can double click it, and it will reset. The bad thing is there is no audible or haptic type of response from that. It's just a way for you to keep up with it. Down below that, you're going to see the battery indicator, which this is the original battery that was issued with it. And like I said, I used it the entire time in Texas like everyone else did. And at the bottom right, you're going to see that wind value based on the distance. If you guys took note, you saw that it started off at 1/10, but as we increase, let's say we have a 1,000-yard shot with a full value right to left wind. If we go to, let's see, 1,000, sorry, brain fart there. If I go to 1,000 yards, you're going to see we need to start somewhere around 1.8 mils for that wind hold. So that's what it's like on the inside. What we're going to do now is I'm going to try to move the trigger cam, and I don't know how much this is going to work because every time it recoils, because this is so sensitive and where it's at, you might miss the top screen and what's there. But if you guys see the reticle, you guys will see that. You'll see that it should be somewhat clear in this trigger cam, but you always lose resolution anytime you're trying to film with a trigger cam with the scope. So hopefully that doesn't move. Let me see if I can tighten that up to keep it from moving. We'll try to do this all in one shot. All right, so I have the trigger cam recording. You guys are gonna see how it cuts off some of the top up there. But basically, we've got the Allen system on 300. I have the image on my phone here because I'm looking through the trigger cam to make sure you guys can see it. You know what? I thought about this before. What if I do some no scoping here? Wonder if this is possible. On 298, let's see if we can do this. All right, and here we go at 300. Okay, so it hit, but you guys see what's happening with the trigger cam when I fire, and so it loses the center. All right, guys, so you saw how effective that was at the 300. What we're going to do now is we're going to go up to 500, which is right there by the wind flag. And what we'll do is we'll shoot this like a normal human being. And like I said, guys, I'm trying to keep the trigger cam to where you guys can see the image, but it just keeps shifting. And we'll just dial this to 500 yards. Let me just look through here. It'll be faster if I do it this way. All right, so we got 499. You guys should be able to see the image. Holding on the water line, we're not level. Now we're level. Mountains can kind of throw you off, and here we go. Impact center. But you can see this camera moves every time under recoil. So what we'll do is let me move this camera up to 700. And I don't know if we're going to be able to hit the 700. I haven't trued this thing out, but maybe it'll be close. We'll go 700. 699. You guys can see it in the reticle there. Maybe we can get this 10" by 10". I don't know. Wind's moving a little bit up there. I'm going to hold center. Let's see what we get. Impact. All right, so you guys saw 3, 5, 7 back to back. And what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this back down to 0. And while you guys are watching on camera, what I'm going to do, well, let's turn on this illuminated reticle and see what it looks like in just a second. We'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to take this battery out. All right, so the battery's out. We have no power, so you're going to pretend that it's done. You know you got your 100-yard 0 because your turret is set on 0. What we're going to do is I'm going to move this to 300 yards. Let me get that focused in. And guys, I know 300 yards is going to typically be about 1 mil. And what we're going to do, you know what, it'd be better off if I just load these into the mags. So let's pretend you were hunting. Let's say it was so cold your battery died, but you knew your dope. You had a dope card. And if you don't know it, you can go to the Burris Connect app and you can actually see your data card there. All right, you guys can still see it on the trigger cam, and there it is. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to 500 yards. Yeah, at least you guys can see it for just a moment while it's in focus. We'll go 500. Now, I think 500 on this rifle might be somewhere around 2.7-ish or so, but I just dialed it exactly into there. Let's see, should be able to hit the big target. That looked pretty centered. So what I'm going to do now, guys, at the bottom there, to the left of that is a 5-inch by 5-inch steel. That is a 1 MOA steel. This is going to be a tough shot to hit, and remember, by taking the battery out, I've lost my level. So I'll just go best I can by feel. I want to hold a little bit left edge because of the wind. Maybe we'll get lucky, and here we go. 2.7 mils. All right, well, guess what? It missed off the left. Let's go ahead and hold right edge. And there went my steel off of the rack. So you guys see, I'm not losing anything. I can still hold my reticle. I can dial it, whatever I need to do. Matter of fact, let's just give you an example of that. Let's go ahead and turn that back down to 0. It's on the 100-yard 0. I'm just going to hold over. 2.7. Here we go. Impact. So you're giving up nothing. You still have everything that you need to make this work effectively with or without the battery. It is a conventional scope with the added benefit of just being able to dial that yardage. Guys, let's go ahead and see and show you guys what the reticle looks like with the illumination. All right, so you guys can see the red there, and we've got the different intensity levels going all the way up to 11. And then we can also switch to green. Let's go ahead and check what green looks like. We're gonna go down here to reticle color. We're gonna choose that. We're gonna choose green. Enter. We're going to exit. I mean, the menu is so simple, guys. And there it is. There's green. That is off. All right. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that review of the Burris XTR PS. Guys, I do think it's a game changer for long range shooting. It has really simplified it, and it makes it so much easier for the newer shooter as well as the experienced shooter. So if you're not familiar with them, definitely give them a chance. This does have the ED low dispersion glass. While it is not going to be like, you know, ZCO glass or Collis glass or anything like that, it is great glass, and for that price point, I think you're getting a lot of features. It's a very feature-rich scope, and I really enjoyed that time in Texas. I'm going to include some footage from the Texas event. You guys take care. Have a great week. So this is the first day at the Burris Tika Saco event. It's really Tika and Burris. Or I think I've learned to pronounce it. It's Tika. They say it very quickly. Tika. Not Tika. All right, good morning, everyone. This is the first day at the FTW Ranch with Tika and Burris. Checking out the new XTR PS. Guys, this is an impressive facility. They've got a whole fleet of Jeeps. I'm going to be in the blue group today. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our rifle set up, the Tika, the Ace, the target, and we are going to get the scopes put on them, and then we're going to go out to the range and get them zeroed. That's pretty much it, and then we're going to build those profiles. But this is an unbelievable place with some amazing scenery and a lot of ranges. I haven't seen any of it yet, but we're going to get started. All right, so let's check out my first initial impressions. That is a lot of animals. Hi. Look at that. Good, how are you doing? I'm good, I'm Tammy. It's actually not double to I can fix it here. It's my thought was this is good. The dining room is on that side. Chips and fruit and things until the meantime. Yeah, but you're going to check out this run through the XTR PS. Good thing is you don't have to
soak all this in. You've got the spec sheets in front of you. I can send you this.
We started off with zeroing out at the range, got my Diet Coke, and we are going to town. Everything's actually zeroed pretty well. These guys, these rifles shoot really, really well. Phenomenal. No feed issues, no accuracy issues. And this is none other than Tom. If you guys don't know Tom, Tom's the real deal.
I tell myself that, right?
No, I just want to play.
Plus, he's giving me a fit.
Don't shoot that.
All right, so now we're basically doing some NRL hunter type stages, but the way they got it set up is they'll call the target distance, and then when your rifle touches the rock, you have 10 seconds to engage twice. Steal, then the actual animal kill zone. You're not allowed to touch the prop. Here we go. Let's watch Adrian.
Well, if everyone's doing it, it's ethical.
10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4. In fact, good shooting.
There you go, and Adrian cleans it. Guys, I got something. I got a baby markhor. Isn't that beautiful? They had one get loose, and yeah, we caught it. That thing's worth a lot of money too, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh,
Hunting out on the ranch.
well, I want to hand it to the guy that this belongs to then before something happens, but that's actually cool.
All right, Mama died. Yep, so we've been nursing this one back to health. Yep, we'll be bottle feeding it every 2 hours for probably the next week or so.
Isn't that awesome, guys?
In fact,
Well, how many times a year do you do this?
in fact, down.
But I do get done much faster.
I know they need a hex tool on that thing.
Impact.
I didn't hear what.
Impact. Right elk and red plate.
You're about 3 minutes quicker than me, but that's not saying much.
Did you dial for each one? I just dialed.
Impact. Impact.
Oh, he's going after the time.
You'll find your last and final elk.
He's going to be sub 2.
Mag in, bolt open. Mag in, bolt open. Jam a block mag in. Let's see if I can finish up.
You can shoot.
Impact. Stand by on the clock. Impact.
Nice, good job, Tom.
59.
How much?
159.
Told you, 2 minutes. Way to go, Tom.
Both shooters, stand by.
That's 2, 3, 5.
3, 2, 1, begin. Impact,
With the story.
350. Impact, 550. That's it. Impact.
That was me. That was me.
I'm big play.
We're both big
both
plate.
big plate.
You were off the left. I hit low right.
No. How much weight did you hold?
I held. I don't know what I held, but I watched mine land.
So, I told you this is the guy to watch. We just shot the T1X 100, 200, 300 using the XTR PH. Yeah. And you smoked it. I was like, I don't even want to follow that. You did 3 shots. You had 10 rounds, and basically you had to go 1 at 100, 1 at 200, 1 at 300. Hits, yeah. And you did it in like 40 seconds flat. 49. And I was like, there's no way. Guys, it's windy out here. But I went up, was able to connect on all 3. So keeping my fingers crossed, we'll see that T1X is nice.
He did it in 31 seconds. Don't cut that out.
Blind hogs find acorns every once in a while. Hey, Eric, what kind of medicine is that?
For you, buddy.
Try acting like a man.
Hang around here, access here, hang around here as well.
Black bucket.
Big shout out to Tika, Sacco, as well as Burris and Beretta for allowing me to come to this event. The FTW Ranch, with all of the instructors that were here, everyone from Dave to Colby, all of those guys were just amazing people, including Tim, the owner of the facility. But they do everything from long-range training to hunting training, and their emphasis is on that one shot. Don't take the shot. Be an ethical hunter if you cannot make the shot. So it actually worked really well, you know, with what Jim does and what Eric does with that one-shot challenge or the ethical hunting challenge. Just really makes people, you know, kind of understand, take ethical shots. But this is a phenomenal scope. It's called the XTR PS. I think it's good enough for competition. I know that we went through some competition scenarios, had no issue with it, but it's a little different than what you are used to. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you on the next one.